So, when you inherit an investment property from mum and dad, how much tax you pay depends on two things. Basically, there's an investment strategy that you can use with inherited property that can make you a heap of money, but most people don't really understand how all the tax works, so they miss the opportunity. Now, obviously, this is something that you want to seek advice on, but basically, when you go down this path, the first thing that you want to understand is when the property that you're inheriting was purchased. Basically, in Australia, capital gains was introduced in September 1985. And so if your parents bought the property before this time, it's considered a CGT free asset. Basically, when you inherit one of these properties, the cost base resets to the market value at the time of death. So even if they bought the property for 50 grand and it's now worth $5 million, you don't pay any tax on the gain up until the date of death. Now, the second group is where most properties fit, which is where it's investment properties bought after September 1985, meaning that it's a CGT asset essentially. Now, what happens in this case is that you inherit the cost base of the property. So if they paid 50 grand, you basically inherit that cost base, which includes the purchase price plus any purchase costs, and if they've done any major renovations, that also factors into the cost base. So essentially, this means that you could be inheriting a pretty significant tax bill. You want to keep in mind that you do get this 50% long-term capital gains tax discount, which kicks in if they've held the property for longer than 12 months. But for example, if your folks bought a property for $500,000 and it's now worth $1 million, the gain is $500,000. You only pay tax on half. It's still a lot, but it's a lot less. Now, while tax sucks, there is an opportunity here to use this investment property to invest a lot more money. Because if you sell the property, you have to pay the tax, pay back the mortgage. But if you don't sell, you can borrow money against the equity in the property, essentially pay no tax because you're not selling the property, and then use that equity to buy one or even two more investment properties. In this case, you're going to end up with multiple properties and pay no tax. And basically, this then has you covered in terms of your wealth building. You just need to let the property market do its thing. On the other hand, if you sell the property, you pay up all the sale costs, cop a big tax bill, and sure, you're going to be left with a decent chunk of money, but it's probably only enough to buy one investment property if you're lucky. So if you're comparing whether you want to own one property or potentially three, I know which one I'd rather use. This is why, it's critical that you understand this tax and the different levers that you can use to use these rules to your advantage.